Hey everyone, Ben Eunson here. You might have heard me talk in the past about practicing 6 to 8 hours a day, and for about 6 years, this was my daily practice routine. If you want to hear more about that, check out this video up here. And while I can't necessarily give advice as to how much time you should be spending practicing, I can offer some suggestions as to how you can manage your time so that you get the most out of your practice. And there is certainly no time like the present to get motivated about practicing. With some efficient time management, it's very likely that you'll be able to freely express your ideas on the guitar neck with a great deal of fluency. You might just be able to play any idea that comes into your head. Speaking of freely expressing musical ideas that might come into your head, that was a little improvised solo of mine over some familiar chord changes at a reasonably fast tempo. Before we go into more depth about managing your practice time, it would be great if you could give this video a like so that we can push it out to as many people as possible. And if you've been enjoying the videos right here on my channel, consider subscribing and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any of my new playing videos, lesson videos, or live streams. Also, make sure to join me over at bensguitarclub.com, where you'll be able to gain some clarity in your own practice sessions with my masterclasses and bundle packages, including the BGC bundle, which features all of my masterclasses in one package. When making the most of your practice time, it's really important to identify either areas of weakness or areas that might require some maintenance practice. Maintenance practice is when you take a material or a concept that you've looked at in some depth in the past and then revisit it to make sure that it is still functioning properly within the context of your playing. For example, in my How to Practice bundle, I look at scales and arpeggios in great depth, including what you can do with them. And scales and arpeggios really form the basis of just about everything I play on guitar, and as such, they are the biggest part of my daily maintenance practice. Whether you're maintaining a material or concept that you've worked on for some time in the past, or perhaps building up an area of weakness that needs some attention, I find it really useful to divide your practice time into sections that need to be worked on. And for me, I typically divide it up into 6 sections. Now, of course, this is just a guideline. There are arguably many other areas that you could work on instead of these, but I find these 6 sections to be incredibly important. Firstly, you could start off with a warm-up. Scales and arpeggios really are the biggest component of my warm-up. Next up, you could work on some voice leading exercises. After that, we could look at some chord voicings. Then, we could look at some transcriptions. After that, we could do some playing. And yes, I mean practicing playing. And last but certainly not least, sight reading. For more on exactly what those 6 sections entail, make sure to check out this video up here. Now, the question is, since we've established these 6 really expansive areas of practice, how on earth do you schedule that kind of practice time? Well, first off, you don't have to work on all 6 of them in one day. If you can, that's great, but perhaps you'll more likely spread all 6 of these sections out over a week, or perhaps a month, or even longer. Additionally, when it comes to time management, perhaps you're working all the time, or perhaps you're attending university, or maybe both. How to manage time was a big question for me when I was attending university and also trying to make a living from teaching and playing live. The first thing to keep in mind is that the actual number of practice hours is not what we're going for. If you can fit in 8 hours of practice time in a given day, that's fantastic. But what we really need to be thinking about here is a bit of creative scheduling. And what I mean by creative scheduling is managing to fit your practice time around all of the other things that you have to get done in a given day. There's nothing I love more than having a completely empty day where I can do nothing but just play guitar, practice, and enjoy myself. But this does happen to be quite a rare occurrence. So with that in mind, you could, for example, utilize a bit of creative scheduling and start the day off with 1 to 2 hours of warm-up. Then a bit later on, you could do 1 to 2 hours of voice leading practice. Then later on in the day, you could do 1 to 2 hours of chord voicing practice. And then at some point later on in the day, you could do 1 to 2 hours of sight reading practice. Spread throughout the whole day amongst all of your other responsibilities that must be attended to, you may well have practiced between 4 and 8 hours on that day. Now that really is a very productive and possibly even a very creative day, depending on what you're working on. Of course, this is only a suggestion, and only you know how much you're able to practice on a given day. But what I can tell you is that it is always a great time to get motivated about playing music and improving your playing. And with a new year on the horizon, it really could be the perfect time. Jump in the comments down below and let me know if there's been an approach to practicing and time management that's really worked for you. Maybe it's been something a little bit like what I've just explained. Maybe it's something different altogether. And while you're at it, make sure to give this video a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe down below and hit the bell so you don't miss any of my new videos, whether they be playing videos, lesson videos, or discussions about music and practice, a bit like this one. And if you'd like to learn my approach to scales, arpeggios, soloing, improvisation, and almost anything else guitar related, make sure to join me over at bensguitarclub.com. With efficient time management and a bit of hard work, you'll gain fluency on your instrument, which will enable you to freely express just about any idea that comes into your head. I'll see you next time.